try again. Oh, I'm just back from a road trip. I'm going to tell you a little story. So, a couple of weeks ago, I took my car to the garage and I said, can you give it a really good check? Because the MOT is due in April and we're only in February. But I need to go to England from Scotland to a funeral and I need to make sure the car can do it. So a couple of weeks ago, I went in that storm to the garage and he came back and said, your car's fine, it just needs a water pump. And I'm like, great, can you do a timing belt as well? And he said, yeah. So he couldn't get it in for 2 weeks. So it was booked in on Friday. And then, of course, 2 days later, I'm going to England. So it went in on Friday and he went to do the work. And then a few hours later, he phoned me up. And I said, how much is it for the car? And he said, oh, just come down. So I went back, I got a lift in off Steve, and when I got there he said, I've wrote a list of all that I found wrong with your car, and the highlighted pieces that I've put on, they come to £1,000 plus to fix the car. And I said, are you joking? And he said, no. I said, right, can you just do them now? And he went, no, I can't. I need to order the parts, and anyway, I really don't think it's worth keeping your car. And I went, are you having a laugh with me? And he said, no. He said, there's so much wrong with your car. If it was me, I'd just get it written off right now. And I said, I have got a road trip in 2 days. And I thought it only needed a water pump. And he said, well, I've just put it on the ramps and checked under the car, and it needs so much work doing to it. And he said, I really advise you not to drive this car any long distance. He said, if you want to bring it back in a couple of weeks for us to give it a proper look at. But he said, you're wasting your time because it's going to cost you too much money and your car's not worth it. So my car is a 2004, I think. And it's a great car. I love it to bits. But it's end of life. And I don't want to let it go if I can help it. But it got to the point where he said it's not viable. So I had 2 days, didn't I? So I started panicking. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So my friend Paul said he was going to take me down with the dogs. And we were going to stay in my mum's cabin. So I said, we can't take my car. So he said, well, we don't have a choice because his are broken as well. So the only option we've got is to go down in that car. And I thought, I just can't. The stress of that. So then I phoned my family and I started flapping and I said, I just don't honestly know what to do. We've got 2 days to sort something out. And my son came up with the idea of getting a hire car. But you've got to go to get the hire car, you've got to leave your car there, drop it off, pick it up and all this sort of stuff. And then, so we worked out that would have cost about £400 or £500 for the hire car. So I'm thinking I don't want to really invest money into a hire car if I've got to buy a new one, because obviously that's money that's taken out of the budget to buy a new car. So I was flapping thinking, oh gosh, I don't know what to do. And then Steve comes round and he said, look, I'm going to Leeds next month anyway, but I can just go now instead. And what I can do is drop you down at your mum's and I'll pick you up and bring you back. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had a word with Paul and Paul said, well, I'm happy to take you down with the dogs in your car, but I can only be there till Tuesday because they haven't put my holidays through at work. So I thought, well, the best plan then is just let Steve take me down. So Steve took me down in his car and I'm like, oh, thank goodness for that. And we got there. So I just paid for the petrol and stuff. So I think it came to about £70, but that was both ways, which is good. So it cost me 70 quid to get there, which I would have paid in my car anyway. So I got to my mum's and I stayed in the cabin. We got there on Sunday. Luckily, I got to meet everybody. Monday was my Auntie Susan's funeral. So it was really And it's quite funny because all the way down I kept saying to Steve, I don't know if I'm going to hold it together, because it's not sunk in that Sue's gone. And Sue is my special needs aunt, and she died when she was 73, but she never got beyond 7 in her mind, so she was always like a little girl to us. And she was so lovely and so fun to be around, and everyone loved her and she loved everybody. She was one of those people. And I thought, I'm not going to cope with this, you know. But when I got there, it's funny because I didn't cry. And I don't understand why. And the funeral, we all started crying a bit when she was going into the where the service is, at the crematorium, because they played Dancing Queen. It was a favourite song. So it's a happy song, but it made us all cry because we likened it to Susan. And then on the coffin itself, they put a doll. She called it Chucky, and the doll was near the coffin and stuff like that. So it was little stuff like that, and I'm like, oh gosh. But I held it together. My son-in-law is training to be a vicar, and he did the service, which was beautiful, and he was so good at it. He said all the right things, you know, and it made it really special. Then my mum and my cousin did a eulogy, and it was really, really emotional. But I held it together, and I don't know why, but I thought I was going to be sobbing, and I wasn't. And I think it's because, and the only thing I can think is because inside myself, I just feel like she's gone somewhere special, you know. I just feel it. I feel like she's not here. She's gone somewhere beautiful. And it was very, I can't even explain it. You always think you're going to be a mess at a funeral. And I've been to funerals where I've sat there traumatised, and yet this one I didn't feel that way. I went to my mum's. The house feels so calm and peaceful, and I went in Sue's bedroom to say goodbye to her, and the bedroom's just as it was left, you know, Susan's shrine, if you like. But I just felt like she's gone, but she's not gone anywhere bad, so my heart can't cry because she's in a great place. And then I met all my family and all my children. This is the first time I've been with all my children in at least 10 years, because we all live apart from each other. And you know, I see my son who lives in Skegness. Last time I seen him was his wedding day 3 flaming years ago. So it was lovely to be with everybody. And then I had my cousins there, all the family. There were friends that I haven't seen since I was a child, and I thought, we look old. That really got to me more. We all look old, and we all said the same thing. We all said, don't we look old? And yeah, we do. I've got a 10-year-old grandson, but you don't feel old, do you? When you get to this age, you don't feel old unless you're ill. But I'm healthy. But it's just the way we look. You don't realise, because I don't spend all day looking in mirrors, and you can tell I'm not. I just put a little tiny bit of makeup on in the morning and run out of the door, and I don't really care, because when you're on your own, who you try to please, you know. But when I came face to face with everyone my age, I thought, flipping heck, we're all wrinkly and stuff, and I couldn't stop laughing, and I said, where's time gone? Where has it gone? But we had a lovely do for Sue after. And there was about 60 people went, and we played bingo, bless, and the prizes were semolina and lemon curd and Bucks Fizz, because they were Sue's. Susan loved them. And it was funny because, like my cousin said, for Christmas you could spend £1,000 on Susan and she'd be all, oh, I love it, I love it. But if you gave her a tin of semolina, that was the best thing ever. So you didn't need to spend loads of money on Sue, because she was so grateful for all those little things. And another thing that made me laugh about Sue is, if she found a penny on the floor, she'd stop traffic to pick it up. But if you tried to trade it with a £20 note, she wouldn't have it. She I don't like them. I only like my pennies. So she had no concept of money. and what it was worth. But she was so easily pleased, bless her. So I had a lovely catch up with my family, and I've got home. I've just bought a fence for the doggies. They've got their own little puppy garden. We could show them, but she's asleep on the floor. So I've bought, it's a dog pen for the pitch outside the caravan. So I put it up this morning with Steve, and I opened the gate for them, and they just went straight in it, and I put all the toys in and some like treats, and they loved it. So I was really happy, because I thought, when I go back to work, I'm outside all day. I can just leave them outside on a nice day, because I'm on the park anyway. I can keep checking on them, but they love to sit outside, and it's hard if there's no space for them, because they run at people if people come near. So we did some tests with them to see if they'd run at like Steve when he came round, and they did bark at him, but they didn't run because they saw the fence, so they didn't. So that's a great thing. And I am, oh gosh, I bought a new laptop for editing and everything, and it's a posh one, but it's for professionals, and I am not a professional. And I started to set it up, and it was supposed to be very simple, and it even guided you through, and I couldn't even get to the next page, and my brain started melting, and I thought, I can't take it. I cannot cope with technology, and the more modern it is, the worse it is for me. And I honestly, I couldn't stand it. I've eventually got it set up to some degree, and then realised there's no SD card with the computer. So I'm thinking, well, how am I supposed to get my SD card out of my camera and do the stuff? So my head went again. So I'm having to learn bite-sized pieces. So I found out that you've got to buy an SD card reader and put that on with a USB, where that goes into the side of the laptop. It's all these tiny little things, but I have to learn little by little. So what I'm telling myself is I'm on a college course, and it's going to take me a couple of years to get where I want to be, because I want to build up another channel, but do it properly. But I have to learn all these skills, and I've got to be kind to myself and say, look, you're 55 years old, you're not 10. A 10-year-old could have set that up in 2 minutes. Probably a 4-year-old these days. So I've got to tell myself it's okay to do it in small pieces here and there, and it's alright to have a brain melting, and it's alright to have a nervous breakdown doing it, but you'll get there in the end. Just keep going, and that's it. So I am off work for a few days, because I booked an holiday for 4 days, because my working week at the moment is only 4 days, so 3 days off anyway. So it turned out to be a 10-day holiday, which is great. But because Steve took me down there and back, which was a massive thing to do for me, because it took 6.5 hours each way, and that was him driving the whole way at top speed. If I'd have gone, it'd have taken me 13 hours each way, because I can't drive long distance. I have to stop all the time. So because he did that for me, I am going to look after him next week, because he's going to hospital. So I said, I'll take you and I'll bring you back, and for the first week or two or whatever, I'll make you a cup of tea, give you some tea at tea time, and fetch you water and stuff like that. And I think it's fair, because it's give and take. Because honestly, if I hadn't got down there, I would have cried forever. I think I would have cried more if I couldn't have gone than anything, because it was such an important thing to go and say goodbye to Sue, and to be with my family as well. But it's all done now, and we've got to get used to life without her, and it hasn't sunk in. I don't know if it will or how, but I do feel there's a peace around it all. Like I said, I think when some people have gone in the past, I've cried because maybe I've cried because they didn't achieve all they wanted to achieve, or they died too young, or they just didn't want to go. I don't know, but all I do know is that my auntie just loved life, and she'd have lived forever if she could, you know. My poor mum, she's got to get used to an all new life, because my mum's always had someone next to her, and she's still got her husband who needs looking after, but she's always been a fun person. And Susan and her best friend who died a couple of years ago kept her laughing, constantly laughing all the time. And seeing the sidekick go from her, I think that was sad, because, you know, my mum's 76 now, and she's always been like a little girl herself. Her and Susan played Tig all the time, and they played it till the day she died, you know, and running round like two kids screaming, laughing and stuff. And to see her not be able to laugh like that anymore, because we've all got different personalities, and I can have a good laugh, but I laugh at the stories, whereas when Susan here, she was the story, so they were laughing constantly at all those little things. So that is sad, but I hope that my mum can find herself, a part of herself she's never been able to find, because she's always had someone there. Even when she drove me to my sister, she said, I've never driven the car without Sue. I've never been in the car on my own. But she's got to now go and do shopping by herself and stuff to get used to getting back out again. But you're doing it without your sidekick. It's really sad. But I don't know. And I was saying to my cousin at the funeral, I said, when our mums have gone, we're the next. And it puts everything into perspective. It's like, you know, time isn't forever. So I'm not going to just sit on my laurels and go, you know, I might have 20 years if I'm lucky, sort of thing. I want to learn for 20 years. And I want to go out of here a different person to what I am now. I want to go out with more skills than I had. And I want to leave something behind for the world. So whatever that is, but it's got to be something positive. It could be even like go and plant loads of trees, because the trees, they'll be still alive long after you're gone, won't they? Just little stuff. So I'm going to go for now, and I'm going to have a look at my new laptop and see if I can get some software put on for editing, and then when my SD card comes on, I've got to show you this. Every single day, look at them. Can you see them all? They come every day for the dinner. There must be 20 blackbirds over the crows. What's the difference? Blackbirds and crows. But there's about 20 of them, and I have to feed these every single day. So can you imagine what they cost me? Little babies. But I absolutely love them. You can just about see their little garden there. Can you see the little fence there with the toys? So I've got to clean my pitch up. I've got to get rid of all that stuff there. That's going to go in tip. So my pitch will be nice and clean, and by the time the park opens in April, it'll look nice. I'm good to go, and I will do another video on one of my topics soon.